In this video, I will show you how to find the area and perimeter of a random shape like this one that has straight lines but also curves in it. Let's start with the area. So we can separate this into parts that we can find the area of, and then we'll add them up. So if I imagine a line, you know what, let me use my line tool. All right, if I separate using this line right here, I have divided the overall shape into area 1 and area 2. So area 1 is half of a circle. Okay, so and then area 2 is a triangle. So my strategy will be to find those two areas and then add them up. All right, so let's see. Let's start with area 1. Area 1 is half of a circle. All right, the area of a circle is pi r squared. So this is how I will find area number 1. Let's see. I need the radius. So the diameter here is 10. So that means the radius is going to be half that, because like the center would be right here. So if the diameter is 10, that means the radius must be 5, all right? Because the radius would just be like from here to here. Okay, so the radius is 5. So this is going to be 1/2 pi times 5 squared. All right, in other words, 1/2 of 25 pi. Okay, half of 25 is 12.5. So this would be 12.5 pi. Okay, so that is the first area. Now let's find the second area. All right, area number 2. Area 2 is a triangle. And I know that the formula for the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. So I just need to figure out what is the base and what's the height. Okay, now this red line is the base. Okay, so I can just go ahead and think of this as the base right now. You can really pick any side of the triangle to be the base. The trick is, what will the height be? Now the height has to be perpendicular to the base. So I think I'll change colors on this one. Let's go with this green. Okay, so the red line is the base and the green line is the height. All right, as long as it's perpendicular to the base and it reaches the other vertex, then we're good. So that's the base, that's the height. Well, look, we have both of those numbers. The base is 10 and the height is 12. So I can get back to my calculation. So 1/2 base times height becomes 1/2 10 times 12. Okay, so this is going to be 1/2 of 120. All right, 10 times 12 is 120. So that's going to be 60. Okay, all of these are in square inches, all right, looking at the units. So if I want to find the overall area of the whole shape, I need to add these up. So the overall area is going to equal the sum of these. Okay, so I need to add, you know what, I better move to the other side. Okay, so I need to add 12.5 pi, don't forget the pi, plus 60. All right, so that's 99.27, got to round up. And don't forget the units, square inches. Okay, so that's how you find the area of a random shape. So now, use the Pythagorean Theorem and the dashed right angle to find the length marked x. Okay, let me erase all this stuff. So we're trying to find length x. Okay, well, so this is what we're trying to find, and we're going to use the Pythagorean Theorem, so I'm going to make that the hypotenuse. All right, I know this is 12, so what will this be? Well, this vertical side of the triangle is 5, okay, because the whole thing is 10, all right? So this is going to be halfway, is going to be 5. And so I can do the Pythagorean Theorem. So x is going to equal the square root of 12 squared plus 5 squared. Ah, that's horrible. My 5s are so bad. Okay, when I was a little kid, they used to say down, around, and put on the hat. And the putting on the hat part, I never got the hang of that. Anyway, so this is going to turn out to be 13. All right, I can already tell. This is going to be the square root of 169, which turns out to be exactly 13. And it must be inches for the units. Length would be inches. So 13 inches. Okay, now find the perimeter of the shaded shape, 2 decimal places. Okay, so the perimeter of the shaded shape. I just figured out that x is 13. All right, they gave me a nice hint for that. So fine. So that means, okay, let me try this one more time. I cannot draw a straight line today. Okay, so this line, okay, that's 13. I just found that that's 13. And this is an isosceles triangle, so it has 2 congruent sides. So that means this side is also 13. All right, our goal is to find the perimeter of the shaded region. So we've got most of it. The only part that we're missing is this part right here. Okay, we need to find that. So we've got 13, 13. All I need is to find the length of the semicircle. Now this is an arc length, okay, and it happens to be half of the circle. So that'll be half of the circumference. Okay, so let's find that green part. So look, it comes down to this. Hold on, I want a thicker ink for this. The perimeter is going to equal, okay, this green semicircle, okay, plus the 2 straight pieces. All right, the bell is ringing. Let me see if I can wrap this problem up real quick. So the semicircle, the perimeter, not the perimeter, the circumference of a circle is 2 pi r. All right, but this is half of that. So I'm going to do half. And of course, we found that those 2 lines are just going to be 13 and another 13. We know the radius is 5 because it was half of this. Okay, so the radius is 5. Okay, now half of 2 is 1. So basically these cancel each other out. So I'm going to end up with 5 pi plus 13 plus 13. So all I have to do is put this in my calculator. All right, now it might get a little bit loud right at the end, but I'm going to finish this problem. So I need to do 5 pi plus 13 plus 13. 41.71. And perimeter is a length, so that will be units of inches. Okay, last problem. We need to find the area of this strange shape. It's made up of a rectangle and a quarter of a circle. So look, the rectangle, I'm going to call that shape number 1. You know, you can barely see that. Let me pick a better color for this job. Like yellow, son. Yeah, there we go. So shape 1 is the rectangle. Shape 2 will be the quarter circle. So I'm going to find the area of each one of these shapes and add them up, and that will be the area of the whole shape. Okay, so our strategy is like this. Find the area of shape 1, and then we'll find the area of shape 2. All right, the area of shape 1, shape 1 is a rectangle. So that's just going to be base times height. Okay, so that's going to just be 3 times 8. Okay, because rectangle area is just base times height. So that's going to be 24. Okay, so 24 square centimeters. So that's area number 1. Now, area number 2 is a quarter of a circle. So what's the area of a circle? All right, so you know that the area of a circle is pi r squared. Okay, that's the area of a circle is pi r squared. So this is going to be a quarter of that. All right, it's a quarter of the full area. It's a quarter of pi r squared. Now, what's the radius? Hopefully we can all agree that this is the radius, that red line, that's the radius. Well, will you agree that this other red line is also the radius? All right, it's the same circle. All right, so the radius will be the same regardless of whether it's here or here. So the question is, how big is the radius? It is 8. All right, because this side of the shape is 8. And that's the same as the vertical radius I just drew. So the radius is 8 because of this 8. So when I do pi r squared, I'm going to do pi times 8 squared. Okay, so this is going to be 1/4. 8 squared is 64, so this will be 64 pi. And I need to do 1/4 of that. So multiplying by 1/4 is the same thing as dividing by 4. So what is 64 divided by 4? That is 16. So this is going to be 16 pi. All right, square centimeters. So now it's time to find the actual area of the shape. I feel like I should switch colors. I think I'll just use gray. So the overall area of the whole shape is just going to be the sum of these two areas. All right, I'm just going to do 24 plus 16 pi. All right, I have to add these up. So I'm just going to go straight to my calculator. So 24 plus 16 pi. So that's going to be 74.27. Got to round up. Okay, and that's square centimeters. So that's it. So that's the area of this strange shape. So now we're going to switch gears and do the perimeter of this same shape. So of course the perimeter is just the outer edge, it's the sum of all the sides. So some of these edges are vertical and horizontal. So for those we can just count. In fact, most of the edges are vertical or horizontal. This red arc that I'm tracing right now, this is the only portion of the circle, this is the only portion of the perimeter that's not a straight line. Okay, so I'm going to be able to count everything else. So let's start by finding the length of this arc. So let's see. I'm going to call this arc length L. All right? So let's find L. We have a little formula for that. So the arc length is always going to be some fraction of the whole circumference. Now, in this case, they gave us the fraction right here. It's a quarter circle. So it's going to be 1/4 of the whole circumference. Now the circumference is 2 pi r. So it's going to be 1/4 of this. The question is, what is the radius? We talked about this on the previous step. The radius is 8. Okay, because this vertical line I just drew, that is one radius of the circle. Right? If I were to draw this entire circle, it'd be easier to see that this is the radius. Okay, but because of this vertical side over here, I know that the radius is 8. So this is going to be 2 times pi times 8 because the radius is 8. Okay, so that means I'm going to have 1/4 of, and 2 times 8 is 16, so that's 16 pi. 16 divided by 4 is 4. So the length of arc that I'm calling L is going to be 4 pi. All right, 4 pi centimeters. So we just found that the arc is 4 pi. So I think I'll go ahead and fill that in. So this arc right here is 4 pi. That was the toughest part. All right, I've already got the 3 and I've got the 8. All right, here comes the second toughest part, but that's not so bad. We need to find the length of this horizontal portion down here at the bottom. How am I going to do that? Well, here's the first little piece of it. I think I'm going to need my yellow again. Let's break it up. All right, this portion right here is 3, all right, because I see the 3 above it. All right, let me change colors again. I think I'll use blue this time. Okay, this portion right here, how long is that? Can you guess? That is going to be 8. Okay, because this is another radius of the circle. And we already talked about the fact that the radius of the circle is 8. So I have 3 and I have 8. If I put that all together, that is 11 centimeters. So this green portion at the bottom is 11 centimeters. So now I'm ready to add up and do the perimeter. All right, so the perimeter should be, I'm just going to add going all the way around. So I'm going to have 3 plus 8 plus 11 plus 4 pi. All right, that will be the sum of all the sides. And I can just put that in my calculator. So we have 3 plus 8 plus 11 plus 4 pi. So that's 34.57. Got to round up. Centimeters. All right, so that is the perimeter of this crazy shape. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Go ahead and click here in the red apple to watch the next video. Click in the green apple to subscribe, or click the yellow apple for the full playlist.